I got some jelly beans. You like jelly beans? Openings are not my strong suit. Arthur Morgan, right hand to the Van der Linde gang. Arthur's life is wrought with sin and vitriol. He is an outlaw during the end of the Wild West. But just because Arthur is living outside of the law doesn't mean he's a bad man, besides all the murders. Arthur is a special character to not just me, but many others, and Red Dead Redemption 2 is proof that video games are a form of art. Arthur's journey through the foundation of America is a beautiful story of how redemption can be earned no matter who you are. Arthur is summarized in 3 words: loyal, driven, and overall good. Now, I'm assuming we're talking about high honor Arthur here. If you played this game with low honor, you're no longer invited to my birthday party. Let that sink in. As usual, I don't have Red Dead 2 on PC, so I'm using somebody else's footage, so be warned. But with that out of the way, let's talk about Mr. Morgan and his journey towards earning redemption. As custom for these videos, let's start with Arthur's background. Arthur was born circa 1863 to Beatrice and Lyle Morgan in the northern United States. As a child, his mother died to unknown causes, while his father was a petty criminal and outlaw. In 1874, when Arthur was 11 years old, his father was arrested for larceny. Arthur later witnessed his dad's death, and despite a strained relationship with his father, he donned his hat and kept a picture of him. So from an early age, Arthur had shown loyalty to his family despite his father's history, and that crime was in Arthur's blood. He was soon picked up off the street by a younger Dutch Van der Linde and a Hosea Matthews, with Arthur viewing the two as surrogate parents. And the rest is history. Well, sort of. The pair had taught Arthur basic life and survival skills to survive out in the West, with the 3 of them becoming the founding members of the Van der Linde gang. As a young adult, Arthur met a girl named Mary Gillens. The two fell deeply in love and had become engaged. Arthur had befriended her younger brother Jamie and had taught him horseback riding. However, Arthur's preference for a life of crime, coupled with the prevalent disapproval of Mary's family, most strongly from her father, ultimately caused their relationship to fall apart and the pair separated. So this proves Arthur gets 0 hoes. He's just like me, for real. Arthur's possible future with Mary could have been what he needed to leave the outlaw life behind, but it just wasn't meant for him. The outlaw life had chosen him, and he was now unquestionably loyal to the gang. In 1885, Arthur had met a 12-year-old boy named John Marston, who had been saved by Dutch from being lynched by a group of Illinois homesteaders. John had been inducted into the gang and raised alongside Arthur, with the pair growing as close as brothers. Dutch instilled the boys with the anarchist worldviews against the corrupt government and preached that revenge was a fool's game. Over the years, Arthur and John became regarded as Dutch's favourite sons. Some years later, Arthur had met and slept with a 19-year-old waitress named Eliza, resulting in her becoming pregnant with their son Isaac. Although Eliza knew of Arthur's lifestyle, she accepted whatever support he offered to her and their son. Arthur, not wanting to promise anything he couldn't keep, said that he would do right by them. He would periodically visit Eliza and Isaac every few months and stay with them for a few days at a time, Arthur remembering fondly of Isaac as a good kid. Tragically, one day, Arthur had arrived at their home and saw 2 crosses outside. He knew immediately that they were both dead, and later learned that they had been shot and killed by robbers, all for $10. This traumatic incident hardened Arthur as a result, and he never truly coped with the pain, and gave him the understanding to live the outlaw life and not expect good things to happen to him. But also that Arthur had understood loss, losing his son and what I'm calling his wife, and this event is what will shape Arthur's last decision in his life. Now, I know I'm just reading off the wiki, but these last few details are going to be on John, the protagonist of the first game. Don't worry, John will likely get a video in the future as well.
You eat babies!
In 1894, a prostitute named Abigail Roberts joined the Van der Linde gang after being introduced by Uncle. At some point, she fell in love with John Marston and became pregnant with their son Jack. Arthur became a surrogate uncle figure towards him growing up. John, however, refused to accept responsibility over the boy and soon left the gang. Around a year later, John had returned, with Dutch and the majority of the gang welcomed him back with open arms. Arthur, however, felt betrayed by his actions, and a rift was formed between the two, which steadily grew over the years. Now, of course, Arthur felt betrayed, as John had gone against everything Arthur believed in at that point, abandoning what Arthur saw as his family and running away from his real family, And with Arthur being what can only be described as a grieving father, Arthur would obviously see John as a coward and a deadbeat. This is where I'm going to be going into spoilers at this point. If you haven't played this masterpiece of a game, I highly recommend you do. To be honest, you've had about 6 years to play this game. 6 years?! Jesus, I'm old! Although my channel's essentially just back in my day, we had good games instead of your Fortnites and Minecrafts. Somebody put me in a nursing home. So from his background, we've established everything we need to know moving forward. Arthur is not on good terms with John, he had a family but lost them, and Arthur sees the Van der Linde gang as his true family, with being an outlaw and criminal being in his genetics. But just because Arthur is an outlaw doesn't make him evil. During his journey, Arthur can make certain minor and major decisions that determine how Arthur treats his fellow gang members and how it influences his identity and ideology. With negative honour, Arthur only sees what he stands to gain and how nothing else matters but his own survival. With positive honour, Arthur cares deeply for his makeshift family, taking care of the camp and doing everything possible to keep the members safe. Like in Chapter 1, John went out and hadn't returned. After a brief conversation with Dutch and Abigail, Arthur and Javier go out looking for John, and they find him injured but alive, bringing him back to camp. Now you can make the argument that Arthur was forced to go, but if Arthur really hated John, he wouldn't have went at all, proving despite his personal feelings, he still looks out for John and the gang, almost seeing him as a little brother. And come around to Chapter 2, him, John, Charles and Sean rob a train together, with this being John's plan. Arthur can't help but admit it's a good plan despite his feelings towards John. Arthur starting to come around to John again.
Uncle told me something about a train.
What did he say?
Mary Beth overheard something about a train full of wealthy folk rolling down through Scarlet Meadows just south of the state border.
Yes.
Need help with it?
I ain't even sure about doing it.
Come on. At night, not too guarded, it's perfect.
I ain't thought it through. Stopping a train, pain in the ass.
Sure, but what if we could force a train to stop?
Well, of course.
We get a wagon full of something flammable, oil. Put it on the tracks. They see it. They know they either have to stop or die. Ain't no train driver wants to be cooked alive.
That is kind of brilliant. For you. That is a real idea. I think that's the first time you ever had one of them.
Shut up.
You might be the first bastard to ever have half his brains eaten by a wolf and end up more intelligent.
So we're doing it?
Yeah, we're gonna need ammunition, guns, look real frightening, and some dynamite to open up the train.
I'll get the supplies. Gotta head into town for Abigail anyway. Don't even ask. You go find us an oil wagon.
Yeah, I know just the place. They're always heading into that refinery.
There's an old rundown shack just over the border, north of a place called Dewberry Creek. Leave it hidden somewhere near there.
Arthur does say to Charles near the end of Chapter 2 that he still holds some resentment towards John, but you can tell there's not as much hate as there used to be. We'll touch on John later. For now, I want to talk about the important scene that shows Arthur's loyalty, and that's the mission, Fisher of Men. Abigail asks Arthur to take Jack fishing, as by this point, John is still a deadbeat who refuses to believe Jack is his son. Arthur and Jack go fishing, and Arthur tries to bond with Jack, before agents from the Pinkerton Detective Agency show up looking for Arthur with an offer.
Hey, look at this.
And what?
This necklace I made.
Necklace?
For Mama.
Sure.
What a fine young man. And in such complex circumstances. Arthur, isn't it? Arthur Morgan?
Who are you?
Yes, Arthur Morgan. Van der Linde's most trusted associate. You've read the files. Typical case. Orphaned street kid seduced by that maniac's silver tongue and matures into a degenerate murderer. Agent Milton? Agent Ross. Pinkerton Detective Agency, seconded to the United States government. Nice to finally meet. We know a lot about you.
Do you?
You're a wanted man, Mr. Morgan. There's $5,000 for your head alone.
$5,000? For me? Can I turn myself in?
We want Van der Linde.
Old Dutch. I haven't seen him for months.
That's so. Because I heard a guy fitting his description robbed a train belonging to Leviticus Cornwall up near Granite Pass.
Oh, ain't that a little old-fashioned nowadays?
Apparently not. Listen. This is my offer, Mr. Morgan. Bring in Vanderlinde, and you have my word you won't swing.
Oh, I ain't gonna swing anyways, Agent,
Milton.
You see, I haven't done anything wrong, aside from not playing the games to your rules.
Spare me the philosophy lesson. I've already heard it from Mac Callender.
Matt Callender?
He was pretty shot up by the time I got to him. So really, it was more of a mercy killing. Slow, but merciful.
You enjoy being a rich man's toy, dear.
I enjoy society, flaws and all. You people venerate savagery, and you will die. Savagely, all of you.
Oh, we're all gonna die, Agent.
Some of us sooner than others. Good day, Mr. Morgan.
Goodbye.
Enjoy your fishing, kid, while you still can.
Who are they?
No one to worry about, no one at all. Come on, let's pick up your things and get home.
Now, Arthur had the opportunity to have all of his crimes pardoned and, in his words, gain his freedom again, but at the cost of Dutch, his surrogate father, and the gang he grew attached to. A lesser man would have taken the deal, but Arthur stayed true to his ideology and loyalty, standing up to Milton at the risk of being arrested or killed there and then, later informing Dutch of the incident. Arthur didn't even think twice before declining the offer. Arthur's loyalty is something that is sorely lacked both then and now. Now that we understand Arthur a little better, let's talk about Chapter 3. Chapter 3 isn't much in the way of Arthur's character, it's mainly just a blood feud between two plantation families. But it's not until the end we get another glimpse into Arthur's loyalty, and that is in the mission, Blood Feuds, Ancient and Modern, the Braithwaites.
Get down here now, you inbred trash!
Let's set the scene, as we always do. Chapter 3 takes place in the south of the map, Lemoyne. The gang has been playing two feuding families against each other in the hope that some gold is waiting for them at the end. But the family grew wise somehow and sprung a trap. One of the gangs is killed by the Greys, and Jack is taken from the camp by the Braithwaites. Now at this point the gang shifts priorities. The second they hear Jack was taken, they were ready for all-out war. To hell with lying low. Even John, who at first wanted nothing to do with Jack, is now vowing to kill anyone who even touched his son. Very relatable. The gang rolls up to the manor, guns in hand, and gave the Braithwaites a choice. Hand over Jack and they will leave peacefully, or die. What do you think they chose?
You ain't gonna be civilized about this.
You killed my son!
Oh, and I will surely kill the rest of them unless you start talking.
Oh, I know your type. Common scum.
Where is the boy?
You filth.
All right, we get her out of here.
What about down.
Now let's get this hag outside. Any more of her sons to deal with?
No, reckon they're all dead.
That's right. Burn this dog to the ground. You boys sure Jack ain't in here? We searched everywhere. You got that one, Arthur? Guess that's the end of the goddamn cribbage game. Come
Put me down! You damn Yankee! I never liked you.
Why'd you take the boy, Mrs. Braithwaite?
You stole my
Boys are off
liquor.
limits.
You stole my horses. Ain't no rules in war, mister.
Matthews,
Yes, that's it.
where's the boy?
My sons gave him to Angelo Bronte. So my guess is Saint Denis. Either there or on the boat to Italy.
Let's go! Arthur, come on!
What we doing with her?
Leave her.
I told you she was crazy.
The gang burns the manor down, after being confronted by Milton and Ross, forced back on the run once again. Now honestly, I could make an hour-long video on the gang alone, but I'll save that for when RDR2 is on my essay list of games to cover. Till then, let's go over this mission and its consequences and cut to the end of Arthur's journey. Arthur and the rest of the gang hung on Dutch's every word, all ready to die to save Jack, John included. And they do find Jack in the hands of Angelo Bronte. After Jack is returned to camp, John starts to act more like a father and Arthur notices, starting to forgive John for leaving the gang, understanding what he did, almost seeing John as a younger version of Arthur with his son Isaac. And when the gang starts to fall apart, everyone turning on each other, Arthur looks out for John, saving him from being hanged, mourning him when he thought he was dead, and come at the end of the game, laying his life down to make sure John survived, fighting to the death with Micah, and in his final moments, pleading with Dutch to not trust Micah.
It is over. Now, Arthur. It's over.
Oh, Dutch. He's right. You know it, and I know it.
He's sick. He's dying. He's talking crazy.
There! Up there on the ridge! I gave you all I had. I did.
Come on. Dutch. Let's go, buddy. We made it. We won. Come on.
John made it. He's the only one. The rest of us... No. But I tried. In the end, I did.
Come on. Let's go. We can make it. Come on, Dutch. Come on!
There's a line in the game that's often missed, but it adds so much to this last moment in Arthur's journey.
When I die, I just want to be buried with friends.
Me too. With friends or with family. I don't think it matters more than that.
What about you, Arthur?
Me? I don't care about that nonsense.
Come on.
Face me to the west so I can watch the setting sun and remember all the fine times we had that way.
See, Tilly? I told you Arthur had a soul.
Arthur was loyal to the very end, for his family, for his friends, and in his last few days, he was a good man. I know people like to meme on him a lot, me included, on how Arthur in gameplay is a genocidal maniac, but in story, Arthur at heart is a good man. He never did anything he didn't see as necessary. He never took joy or pleasure out of loan sharking. He did it because the gang needed money, and when the gang was falling apart, he forgave some debts and told Strauss the one thing you should never tell anyone, not even your most hated enemies.
What are you doing? Go and get a job!
No, never mind. Arthur is evil. This whole video is invalid. I am so sorry. Arthur was driven to save John. He was planning to save him when he knew everything was coming to an end. He was loyal to Dutch until the very end, even after Dutch had left both Arthur and John for dead, turning on them and letting Micah live after everything was done. He was a good man from the very beginning. He was an outlaw. He did bad things. He murdered, he robbed, he stole, and he told someone to get a job. But Arthur was a good man. He gave money to the people who needed it. He saved his friends and strangers from those out to hurt them. And even though Arthur is long dead and buried, his legacy lives on in both John and Jack Marston. Thank you all for watching. I've taken a little break from creating content as I'm currently engaged to my girlfriend of a year and we're in the middle of saving money for a wedding. So I've been a little burnt out and I've just been mainly terrorizing everyone in my Discord. If you're mainly looking for updates on what I'm working on next and what's up and coming, you'll find it on my Discord before anywhere else. Thank you all for watching and stay unemployed.